On today's show, it's time for our semi-annual list of top 10 Sens prospects.
On today, for part one, we're going to take a look at prospects number 10 through 6 and the honorable mentions.
All that and more on today's Locked On Sens.
I'm Jake Sanderson.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome! You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends at FanDuel. Make every moment more. At FanDuel this summer, a boost or a bonus daily. You can check out all the great options at FanDuel.com. You can also follow the show on social media. We're at Sens Central on Twitter, LockedOn.Senators on Instagram. You can find the show everywhere you get podcasts, including on YouTube, where we say hello and let you know that a like, comment, and subscription go a long way to helping the show grow. Today is Thursday, July 18th, and Pilsy, it's been exactly 200 days since Steve Staios added general manager to his repertoire in the organization.
And what a 200 days it's been, Ross. I would argue probably the most interesting tenure of a 200-day sample size of any general manager in the NHL. Like, you got the Pinto suspension, the Dadonov pick, new owner, coaching firing, a team that was supposed to take a step forward, but it seemingly took 2 steps back last season instead. And then he has a wild off season where he ships out pretty much every part that Pierre Dorion was proud of and like really made his stamp on. Steve Staios said, yeah, we're getting rid of that as soon as possible and bringing in our own guys. So he's had a lot of work done, Ross, but I think he's done a fairly good job, to be honest.
Yeah, it's interesting. And our friend Ryan Hinman tweeted out all the ins and outs just in terms of the players. But I think what's even more important than that is all the additions that have been made underneath Steve Staios. And I don't know if this is as much. It's probably a collaborative effort between Staios and owner Michael Andlauer, but getting Matt Nickel involved and getting these departments that are just more robust than they were before. Before it was a very hardworking group of people, but there just wasn't enough of them, frankly. So for them to build out the staff, I think is as important as the work that's been done on the ice. And maybe that's a bit long-sighted of me because the fans don't care. It's been 7 years of no playoffs. It's time to take that next step on the ice. But I think what Steve Staios, and maybe this was more of him as a president of hockey ops than a GM, which he's held that title for more than 200 days. It was, of course, the Dadonov situation that caused the hammer to come down on Pierre Dorion early November. But tumultuous beginnings, but you got to think that his stamp now on it, despite, Pilsy, the top guys are still the Dorion guys, though, right? Like the Bradys, the Timmys, and the Bathersons of the world. But it's now the identity of what you've created around that nucleus that really has the stamp of Steve Staios on it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you got to keep coming back to it. The Allmark trade overshadows anything else done, like even the draft, I would say, any of his other trades, the coaching, hiring, all of that is overshadowed by how much of a home run that Allmark trade is, Ross. The one thing I'm a little nervous about is the decor was a big problem last year. And I don't see any way you can spin zone into saying the decor is better this year than it was last year. And it was supposed to be good on paper last year, but it was flat out bad on the ice. And in my opinion, that decor is still not even at the level it was last year. It's still below that. So it's going to be interesting to see if or when Steve Staios decides to add a little bit more to that decor. But that would be the one area where I'm still a little nervous.
On paper, completely agree. If you're the organization, you have to hope that Jake Sanderson, turning just 22 years old last week, younger than some of the players we're going to get to on our top 10 prospects list, that if he takes another step forward, that maybe offsets the loss of losing Jacob Chikrin's 18 to 20 minutes where he did provide some offense for this team. Okay, Pilsy, we have plenty of off-season coverage. You can go check out more. We've broken down this team every single way, built it back up, broken it back down. But this is one of our favorite parts of the summer. It's where we rehash last time we did the top 10 Sens prospects and get updating ourselves. I think for like completeness sake, we should bring up last time we did this, which was
Yes.
February.
I
And
want to
at
see
that-
this. I don't fully remember what it's like, so this will be interesting for me.
Okay, so I'm just taking a screenshot right from our episode. You see that, Pilsy?
Yep.
Can you pull this up for the people here? I'll do it as I tell you. It was Tyler Clevin at number 1 last time we did this, middle of the season. He had at that point had one stint in the National Hockey. Look at this little matrix, you and I beside each other. If you're watching on YouTube, that's hilarious. But you can see the list here, the top 10. And why don't you just rattle off 1 through 10, and then we'll start the countdown today with our updated number 10.
For our listeners, I'm always looking out for the listeners that can't see us on YouTube. Our last season's top 10 prospects, Sens prospects. Number 1, Tyler Clevin. Number 2, Matt Sogard. Number 3, Zach Ostapchuk. Number 4, Tyler Boucher. Number 5, Roby Yarventi. Number 6, Stephen Halliday. Number 7, Levi Marilainen. Number 8, Oscar Pettersson. Number 9, Max Gannett. And number 10, Jorian Donovan.
There's only 3 new players inserted that were not on this list. Of course, 1 has departed the organization, Roby Yarventi, who was at number 5. And you'll have to wait and see how everything else shakes out. So we had our debate yesterday with a lot of honorable mentions, including Xavier Bourgault. However, we have decided that coming in at number 10 on our Sens prospects top 10 is Gabriel Eliasson, the 39th overall pick in this last draft. Polarizing for sure, but Pilsy, when you incorporate the fact that he's the youngest player from the draft, when you have the 6'7" frame, the good skating ability, it's just too many tools to not include in our top 10 list of a prospect pool that might not have that many separating guys.
I would argue, Ross, for me, it's not too many tools that brings Eliasson here. It's the few tools that he does have are very high tier. Like the physicality, there's no one on this list. There's honestly, other than Brady Tkachuk, there's no one in this franchise that even comes close to Gabriel Eliasson's physicality. So that's what really gives him a big boost, obviously touted by almost every single scout as the most violent player in the draft. And then you combine that with the size. Can't teach size is what I've heard, Ross. So he's got it. He's got no more learning to do in the size department. And then the fact that he's so young, there's so much runway left that the potential really is unseen. Like, we're not even really going to get a good understanding of what Gabriel Eliasson is as a player probably until 3 years from now, Ross. Like even next year, depending on where he goes, if it's USHL, if it's juniors, if it's college, or if it's back to Sweden, I'm not really sure where he's going, Ross. You seem to be convinced that he is going to the USHL.
I think it's all up in the air. However, the fact that this Cedar Rapids Rough Riders, shout out to Rough Riders, everyone in Ottawa loves a good throwback to that name.
And Saskatchewan.
9 teams, 1 name for 2 teams. Unbelievable. That's neither here nor there. Cedar Rapids Rough Riders, they were really bad, and they took him 2nd overall. And I just think that they're going to do their best to recruit him. So I'm curious to see where he ends up. I hope it's not the OHL because he might actually injure 16-year-old kids really badly at that point. But
Yeah.
I don't think he's ready for college either. So it's going to be a curious case study over the next half decade on Gabriel Eliasson, how he grows into his frame, the decision making, and if there can become a really unique player out of this, because he's obviously a great guy. We met him last week on Locked On Sens, and I think for me, this year, I'm not going to be judging him very harshly on. I think that it's going to be the 3rd year from now where it's like, okay, what has this player developed into?
Yeah, and Ross, if he goes to college, the ref's going to give him a 5-minute major the second he steps on the ice. Like,
Yeah,
it's just going to be like, I don't even want to deal with you today, Gabe. Just start off in the box, cool off, then we'll get you a couple shifts in.
Last year, he played U20 and HV71, had 103 penalty minutes in 36 games, 1 goal, 5 assists, and was a -3. So we'll be updating this as it becomes known where he's going to go to school next year. But as it stands right now, he's too unique of a player not to include in our list of top 10 Sens prospects for the summer. So we have him very comfortably in number 10. The Swede was picked in the 2024 draft, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, now it gets interesting. We told you yesterday we had a top 9, much like the 2021 NHL draft, right? There were 9 players right at the top of it. And then where was it going to go? We'll let you know where we go from here next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Mary J's Cannabis Dispensary. You guys know Mary J's is a locally owned cannabis dispensary in the Ottawa area. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm rocking the merch. We got a nice polo here from our guy Dashy, and Dashy is one of the 3 guys that started this store, and through hard work and dedication, they now have 4 stores in the Ottawa area and a store in Cobourg. The Ottawa locations: you got Riverside South, Orleans, Greeley, and Russell. So lots of spots to help you out. Mary J's offers the best and newest products in the market with many new additions to the menu every week. Ross, I was just on the website yesterday. They got a lot of good stuff on there. And check out the loyalty program. If you have your phone number with their system, you can start earning loyalty bonuses and points. So whether you're a rookie and you're looking to get your feet wet, or you're a grizzled vet and already know the products you want, Mary J's can help you. And they got competitive pricing. They're going to price match any store in Ottawa. That means you're guaranteed to get the best price around when you're at a Mary J's. And they got the best customer service, always looking to assist with friendly bud tenders. Dashy is a diehard Sens fan, so go to one of the stores, say what up to Dashy, and pick his brain about the Sens and all the latest, greatest products that Mary J's has to offer. Check it out today, guys. Mary J's Dispensary.
Today's episode is also brought to you by our good friends over at Indeed. When you're hiring, you need Indeed. We're driven for the search for better, and we want it quick. But we don't only want it quick, we also want quality candidates. So Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors. It's according to Indeed data and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Why not join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast? And because you're a listener of Locked On Senators, you are entitled to a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Right, Pilsy, before we get back to our list of top 10 Sens prospects, part 1, we do want to let you know we appreciate you making us your first listen each and every day. We truly are blessed to be a part of your daily routine, all the everydayers out there. And just wanted to note that it's been a busy Senators week all across Locked On. I don't know if we're just the popular guy in class or what the case is, but the Locked On Fantasy Hockey guys, they did a breakdown of what to expect on the Ottawa Senators next season. And our friends over at Locked On NHL Prospects did a breakdown yesterday as well. So go make those your second listen on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Pilsy, number 10 is Gabriel Eliasson, and it brings us to number 9, who is a player who I wish we could have put higher. We have put higher in the past, but unfortunately, injuries are the story for Tyler Boucher.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, Ross. This is a 10th overall pick in the 2021 draft. Someone that the Ottawa Senators, when they selected him, had high hopes he was going to be able to be a physical force that also provided offense. And we've seen him play with that physicality, Ross. We talked about it, where different leagues allow you to have different styles of play. University and college hockey was not the place for Tyler Boucher. I think that was clear. Even in the OHL, it was tough for him to fully play his game. So we got to see a small sample size of him playing pro hockey in the AHL last season. 21 games, 2 goals, 3 assists, good for 5 points. But unfortunately, the injuries have really stopped him from gaining any sort of momentum in his development path.
It's really unfortunate because when you see him play, you see the tools that have made him a quality prospect, the ability to get to the net, the speed and pace at which he plays at, and the shot that can beat goalies clean from distance. He's a guy who brings that physicality and that will to compete each and every shift, but it almost feels like because of the injuries, now you're worried every time he goes into a big collision that he might not come out unscathed. It's not unlike Josh Norris, where every time he takes a face off, I kind of grit my teeth a little bit, make sure the shoulder's okay. Because for Tyler Boucher to play at his best, he needs to be on that edge. He needs to be fearless, and he needs to be a guy with almost a reckless abandon. Of course, you need some sort of discipline, but he does have this skill set that is very attractive as a potential middle six option down the road. But when you've looked at the game, the year over year game log, it just, he is not playing enough hockey to be able to hone his craft at such a critical time as a 21, 22-year-old.
Yeah, and that's just it, Ross. Like, no matter what your opinion is on Tyler Boucher as a prospect, where he was drafted, how the development path is going for him, the only thing that everyone can agree on is the injuries are just not giving him the opportunity. And that's so tough, Ross, because we've had Tyler on the show a bunch of times. We've had his dad on the show a bunch of times. He's a great kid, and we're really rooting for him. And he's got the right attitude towards all this. But if you can't be on the ice in your early 20s, it's going to be tough to do anything. And unfortunately, Ross,
you say the best ability is availability is an old saying too, and it rings true here.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a pattern, Ross, for our 10th and 9th overall Sens prospects here. On EP, they give a little snippet of their scouting report for these players. Gabriel Eliasson, endless lust for violence. And then you go to Tyler Boucher's. There's no player more physical in this draft class. So clearly, the Ottawa Senators put high value on violent physical players in a 10th overall pick and a 39th overall pick that the rest of the league and the scouting world unanimously thought were big reaches at that draft position. So hopefully Tyler Boucher can stay healthy so that he's able to kind of show that it was justifiable and that he's going to be a part of this franchise moving forward.
The year before COVID hit, he played 67 games in the USHL with the USNTDP. Since then, he has never hit more than 41 games, or what would be known as half of an NHL season. And even that was split almost evenly between Boston University and the Ottawa 67s. Last year, he played 21 games plus the World Juniors, where he where he suffered the season-ending injury to his shoulder. And then last year, only got 21 games in his rookie season in the AHL. So hopefully he comes in as a big camp. We know he's already skating right now. So we're rooting for Tyler Boucher, because if he is able to get the health on track, this guy could be a unique player for the Ottawa Senators down the road. So Tyler Boucher comes in at number 9 on our list of Locked On Senators top prospects in the summer of 2024. Pilsy, it was a toss-up to me between 8 and 9. I just think that the ability to play more games is honestly the only tiebreaker that we had, because coming in at number 8, another player who played his first pro season in North America, and that's Oscar Pettersson, who really split the season. He started out in Rogla. It didn't go his way in the SHL, and he came over and certainly impressed the coaches enough where they really think they've got a player here in training camp and in the American Hockey League this season.
Yeah, Coach Dave Bell for the Belleville Senators gave glowing reviews on Oscar Pettersson as a person and a player, Ross. This is a guy that he can self-evaluate himself really accurately. He knows where he's at. He knows what he needs to do to get better. We talk to him a lot, friend of the show. He talks about his emphasis on wanting to be a hard forechecker, getting stronger to win those puck battles, and finding ways to show the coaching staff that he has that offensive pop that should allow him to have better opportunities offensively. And I think he's going to get there. In 29 games with Belleville last season, 3 goals, 4 assists. He did not get a chance to play in the playoffs, and that was probably a tough piece of news for him, but he took it like a pro and came to work every day and was working hard as a black ace on and off the ice. I think this is a guy, Ross, for me, the reason I have him ahead of Boucher and even Eliasson, he's got that pro SHL experience. Say what you want about it, but he actually played a decent amount of time on ice, average. Sure, there's a couple games where it's like 1 minute, 15 seconds. But if you scroll through his game logs, a lot of them are over 10 minutes for a young kid in the SHL. That's very rare. So I think that pro experience is what gave him the edge over those two, in my opinion.
And he just wants it, man. Like, this guy's going to come out there and give us something to talk about throughout next season. I'm really going to be keying in as an X factor on a really good Belleville team, what Oscar Pettersson's going to do for an encore to him dipping his toes into the American Hockey League. Okay, so he comes in very comfortably, I would say, at number 8. Like, I think there's a bit of a tier here, at least in experience. Oscar Pettersson was a 3rd round pick, 72nd, if I'm not mistaken, overall in the 2022 entry draft. Coming in at number 7, it is the first of 2 goalies on this list. But who is it? We'll have that conversation next and continue our countdown. You're listening to Locked On Senators. It's your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. You guys already know FanDuel is the official online sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network. I love sports. I love them so much, I don't want them to stop. But NHL and NBA are done. We got fewer games, and I'm not getting that sports itch as much as I want. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I got to do is open up the app, dream up some bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers. You heard it, not just new customers, all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. You want to bet on Major League Baseball, regular season games, go for it. Get some parlays going, some props, some over-unders. If you want to bet on some golf that's going on, if you want to get your futures in for the NFL, for the NHL and NBA, you can check it all out on FanDuel. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.
All right, Pillsy, we are a quarter and a bit through our top 10 Sens prospects. It will continue tomorrow. We are going up to number 6 today, and then the top 5 tomorrow. We are heading into another weekend of the summer, a weekend closer, dare I say, to the start of hockey season. And on Monday, we will have Henry Brown at Sens Prospects, the legend himself, to come and judge our list and give you his thoughts on the current situation for the Senators prospect pool. Then we might have a couple players on the list on the show next week, and we're still working away on the guest list.
Are we going to ask those players about their opinion on the list too, Ross?
Well, should we? One of
get
them might be a goalie. Coming in at number 7 on our Locked On Senators, I almost said draft rankings. I was so close. Just my
got draft on the brain.
you do it but you do it 80 times over. And coming in on the 2024, I just went into autopilot mode. Teleprompter let me down. Come on.
Come on, speed that teleprompter up. Let's update it.
It is Levi Merilainen who is coming in at number 7. Look, he started the season as the odd man out. He was the young guy on the block. Mandolese and Sogard got the spots in Belleville. Merilainen had to ply his trade a little bit in the ECHL and showed he was too good for that league quickly. And he had some of those patented performances. When he's on his game, he's as locked in as any goalie prospect, I think, on planet Earth. The only thing is he rides some high highs and he rides some low lows. But as a young goalie, I think that's all a part of the learning process. I think Sens fans should be really happy with the trajectory that Merilainen, the 3rd round pick back in 2020, is on.
Big time, Ross. Let's take us back to that 2020 draft when Merilainen was drafted. Nobody knew who this guy was. We were frantically searching through all our goalie scouts online, trying to get snippets. All right, what do we know about this guy? He wasn't really on anybody's radar, and the Sens found him. Kind of a diamond in the rough type find there. Great job by the scouting staff. And it seems like forever ago, Ross, that Levi Merilainen, remember this, playing for the Kingston Frontenacs with Shane Wright? That's crazy to think back.
Because it's a very rare case and a very rare development path that he got drafted and then came over to the OHL, but then went back to Liga and played another full pro season over there. So yeah, it's been a path over and back from the ocean before he's really solidified himself. And I mean, the fact they moved on from Mandolese, it's all but certain that he's going to play a full season in the AHL. And I know that I said the other day, and I still stand by this, that Sogi needs to play 50 games. That only leaves about 22, 24 left, but I think Merilainen needs some more games too. So we'll see how that all shakes out, because I think that after this season, we'll have a very good understanding of where the Sogard Merilainen conversation is. Right now, I still think, and this list shows it, Sogard is a step ahead in the development, also 1 year older, drafted a year before, but Merilainen's right there. Like if he can put it together as you'd expect a player of his age, only turning 22 in August, another late birthday for his draft year, I think that you could have a diamond in the rough in this situation, as you said.
Yeah, I think Levi will probably play more than more games than you're expecting, Ross, just because...
I thought you were going to say more than Sogard.
Oh, no. I'm not at that point yet. But just because the way an AHL season goes, there's so many back-to-backs and even back-to-back-to-backs that it's going to be hard for Sogard to get a stronghold on the majority of the games. So I think it'll be closer to like a 60%, 40% split. I'm using percentages, not games here, Ross. And I think Levi will be pushing Mads for those starts. Like, he had a pretty decent year in Belleville last year. 10-9-1 record, 2.87 goals against, 0.906 save percentage, and 1 shutout. And he even got in the mix for a playoff game. Mind you, it was a loss, but he put up good numbers in that playoff game, only allowing...
it was a surprise start too, remember? Like, we were like, whoa, yeah. Sogi's banged up. He wasn't 100%. So it was a great kind of a last-minute maneuver for Merilainen to be prepared and play that game.
And he kept it close, Ross. In 29 shots, he only let 2 goals in. Belleville loses that game 3-1. But I've got a lot of belief in Levi Merilainen, and we always talk about this, Ross, but his ability, and I need to get better at keeping these stats in front of me, because every time we talk about him, I bring it up, but I don't have the stats. His ability to stop players one-on-one, I'm talking about breakaways, penalty shots, and shootouts, is one of the best that we've heard of, especially in Liga. He was elite at it, and in Liga, I believe he set a shutout record. Year he had 8 shutouts in 42 games in 2022, 2023 with Carpat. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, super impressive. And the other side of it is there's, a couple of game stretches this season where it's like, he lets in 4, then 5, then 6 in 3 consecutive games, where it's like, And I think just like we talked about with Roby Arventi last week, like at the World Juniors, he had one that was unbelievable and the other one was downright bad. And it's just interesting to see the highs and lows. And that's what you get when you get these kids in your system at that young of an age. They're going to have their growing pains. And I think Meriläinen is past that. And I think that Sens fans and the organization should be expecting a big step forward for Leevi Meriläinen, who comes in at number 7 on our Locked On Senators summer top 10 draft. Damn it, I did it again. By the end of this, I will fix it. Our top Sens prospects list 2024 summer. Okay, the final one today, number 6, Pillsy. This one I'm excited to discuss because I think he is the biggest riser in the Sens prospect pool. He was at number 10 last time we did this, and now at 6, it is Jorian Donovan. Done his junior career, played with the Saginaw Spirit, got a Memorial Cup championship, and now turning pro. I think there's going to be opportunity for him to grab an everyday spot at the AHL level.
I think so, Ross, but it's not going to be easy. We looked at, and maybe you want to pull up later on in the discussion, the depth chart for the Belleville Senators on defense. It is a packed crowd there, and it's going to be interesting to see how Coach Bell decides to kind of hand out ice time to all these guys, because there's a mix of super green guys, like guys that have only played a handful of Belleville games and are just graduating from junior, and then a mix of some vets and guys that are going to be staples on that back end too. But for Jorian Donovan, I think it was so advantageous that he was traded to the Saginaw Spirit. Now, obviously, the Ottawa Senators, they would have loved to see him play more for their OHL team, the Brantford Bulldogs, who Michael Andlauer also owns. But it's a nice trade-off, getting some draft capital and some trade value back from Donovan to the Bulldogs, and then having him continue his development and getting to play a long run with the Saginaw Spirit and getting to go all the way to the Mem Cup and winning it, as you see if you're watching on YouTube. That's Jorian holding up the trophy. So we like winners for sure. And
you think he looks stoked to win this thing, or just another day at the office?
He looks pretty excited about that Mem Cup.
We should note with the other guys, we just put their regular season stats, but I think it is noteworthy that because of the long playoff run and the Memorial Cup, like that is a big season with 88 games. And I'm not even counting the international. He was a last minute addition to the World Junior team. So he had to fly over and catch a red eye, and he was in the lineup that next day. So that is a wildly busy season, and the numbers just jump out. This guy got 183 pucks at net in 83 games. Like he's putting on an offensive clinic and really rounding into a two-way defenseman. So we'll see. He's obviously got great coaching at home and off-ice discipline with his dad in the Sens organization, and has been in player development for so many years. And not only that, but just being an NHL veteran. He played over 10 years in the league, I want to say. Sean Donovan did, including a cup of coffee with the Ottawa Senators. But with Jorian, you're getting a guy who from 5th round pick to where he is now, like that's a huge jump in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and when he was drafted, we had the eye rolls of, oh, nepotism. Here we go. Not only did his dad play in the NHL, and not only did his dad play for the Ottawa Senators, he's currently working for the Sens. This is an all-time nepotism pick. And they made it very clear. They were like, we know how this looks, but we would have picked Jorian Donovan no matter what his last name is or who his dad is, or if there's any affiliation to the team. And you're starting to realize how smart of a pick that was, because he's such an interesting two-way defenseman that I think is just scratching the surface of what he can become. And from everyone that we talked to, Ross, he was the star of this year's dev camp. So big things ahead for Jorian Donovan, and I'm hoping he can play at least a decent role with the Belleville Senators coming up this season.
Not only was he good at dev camp, he was great, so much so that he earned the Jonathan Petra Memorial Award as the hardest worker in dev camp. And if you look at all the names on that list, it almost assures that you're going to be an NHL player. Yeah, there's a wide variety beyond that, from Brady Tkachuk to Andreas Englund. But if you win that award, most likely you're going to work your way into an NHL job, whether it takes 1 year or 6. And I think Jordan Donovan is on the right track to do that. Really excited to see what he's going to look like turning pro and playing in Belleville. Do you think he gets into 50 games next year, health permitting? Like, do you think he's that much in the rotation that he plays more than half of the season?
I think we're probably looking at a similar kind of path that Max Gannett had. So 50, that's tough. That's a good over-under. I'll say it's going to be somewhere in the 40s, so not quite. So I'm going to go under on that.
Okay. Well, Jordan Donovan up to number 6 on our Locked On Senators top 10 Sens prospects list. See, I nailed it that time.
Nailed it.
Thanks. Tomorrow will be the top 5. Let us know in the comments who your top 5 Sens prospects are. And if you disagree with this list, let us know, because we'd love to have those debates with you in the comments. We appreciate everybody liking, commenting, subscribing to the show. Pilsy, any final thoughts from you?
I do have a final thought, Ross. It's summer. You know, you're thinking of trying to freshen up the wardrobe a little. Why not go to our Sens Central store, pick up some new merch, just like our guy Kevin Hemina did. He got a whole brand new wardrobe of Sens Central merch, so we love our guy Kevin for that. And look, obviously this is biased, Ross, but that merch it's fresh and it's comfy. Like, it looks good, play good in Sens Central merch. So head over to the store today and see if anything piques your interest there. We got lots of stuff there.
Good plug. I've got one more Sens final thought, and it's in our 3 things on our rundown. Who's the most NHL ready Sens prospect? And we'll pick it up tomorrow, but give me a name and I'll think about moving him up the list.
Now, are we talking about the prospects we've done today? 10 through 6?
Overall, which
Overall.
Senators prospect is most likely to make an impact next year? Maybe not make the team, because there's certain positions where it's more likely just based on where you are on a depth chart. But if they were to make the team, they could have the biggest impact. They're the most ready to play.
This is such an easy slam dunk answer for me, Ross. It's Tyler Kleven.
Okay.
I've already got Tyler Kleven in pen as that left shot defenseman on the bottom pair for the Sens. I wouldn't be surprised, Ross, if he plays upwards of 60, 65 games.
Okay. I'll let you know mine tomorrow. That's it for us today. Thanks so much for engaging with the show. We really do appreciate it. Be a friend, tell a friend, subscribe to the show, and steal your partner, friend, neighbor's phone, and make sure you subscribe to Locked On Senators everywhere you get your podcasts and on YouTube. For today, we say goodbye. We'll chat tomorrow. That's Brandon Piller. I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast. Your team every day.